British Prime Minister Theresa May could announce her resignation date as soon as this Friday, when she's due to meet with Sir Graham Brady, the chairman of the 1922 committee, an important group of backbench Tory MPs with the ability to determine their leader's fate. Mrs May has so far resisted the growing calls for her to step down, but reports suggest that if she doesn't finalise her departure with Mr Brady tomorrow, the 1922 committee may change party rules to enable a new confidence vote that could oust her. The growing Tory revolt culminated in the resignation of one of Mrs May's top cabinet ministers and supporters on Wednesday. Leader of the House of Commons, Andrea Leadsom, said she no longer believed their approach would deliver on the referendum result. Our correspondent Ollie Barrett joins us now from London for more on this story. Ollie, could we expect Mrs May to be out by the end of the month or even by the end of this week?
There's a very real possibility that she'll be gone by the end of this week, and there are various ways that that could play out. If she wants to retain an element of control over that process, then we may well see her setting out her resignation on Friday. That would see her triggering a leadership challenge, a leadership campaign for the Conservative Party, and we would expect that she would stay on as Prime Minister until that leadership campaign had been settled and a new leader had been chosen at the head of the Conservative Party. If she doesn't go down that route, and if she continues to try and resist those calls for her to leave Downing Street, then things could get very messy indeed. We may well see that 1922 committee changing their rules so that she can be removed in that way. We could see mass resignations from the cabinet as well. One way or the other, Theresa May's reign as Prime Minister, her time in number 10 Downing Street is coming to an end. It could well be over within days in terms of her effective leadership of the country.
All right, so if her days are numbered, what about the new leader? How valid are fears that her successor would be a Brexit hardliner, who could actually take Britain out of the EU without a deal?
Yeah, it's possible. Certainly the leadership campaign for the Conservative Party is going to be dominated by Brexit, and the party membership who will make the final decision on who leads their party are certainly considered to be Brexiteers. So there's a very decent chance of a pretty hard-line Brexiteer ending up as leader of the Conservative Party. Whether they can then lead Britain out on a no-deal basis is really a matter of debate. There are parliamentary scholars who disagree on whether or not that's going to be possible, whether or not Parliament would have the power to stop it happening. Now, by the way, I'm in Barking in East London, which is a very heavily Brexit area, voted to leave the European Union in 2016. Today we have EU elections taking place in which areas like this we expect to see a huge surge for the Brexit Party. Voters angry at the Conservatives for not having delivered Brexit yet. That has played into the imminent demise of Theresa May, because clearly she made it her mission to get Britain out of the European Union. It is not yet.
Well, indeed, May's could maybe out in May. Her days are numbered. Thanks very much, Ollie Barrett, speaking to us from London.
Now, all this is happening, as Ollie said. The Brits are voting today in the European Union elections that will likely shift the balance of power. Mrs May's Conservative Party is forecast for their worst ever performance, polling at just 11%.
Now, in contrast, anti-EU populist Nigel Farage's new Brexit party is in the lead. They are predicted to get over 30% of the vote.
From May 23rd to the 26th, voters across 28 countries will cast their ballots for 751 members of the European Parliament. The results will shape the bloc's policy for the next 5 years. So what can we expect? In one word, fragmentation. Pollsters have predicted this to be a defining moment for nationalists and Eurosceptics, groups that question the inherent values of the Union itself. They're expected to emerge strengthened, splintering the pro-EU mainstream. For the first time in a generation, the main pro-EU groups in Parliament could lose their combined majority, forcing them to stretch wider to scrape together a coalition.
With career politicians,
it's only Britain's pro-Brexit contingent that openly advocates leaving the EU, but the populist wave could pull Europe in a more conservative direction, bolstering efforts to slow integration and return more power to national capitals. Take Poland's anti-LGBT ads, or this German call for bikinis over burqas.
whole country.
Brexit, of course, has rubbed even more salt in Europe's wound. With divorce terms not yet agreed, the UK has to take part in the elections, much to the government's irritation.
The Conservative Party didn't want to be fighting these.
If Theresa May's party loses as humiliatingly as it's predicted to, these elections could hasten the Prime Minister's departure from office.
Is it time to go, Prime Minister?
Elsewhere, Salvini's hard-right League is likely to come out top in Italy. Macron faces his first electoral test since becoming president, and weak results for Germany's Social Democrats could spell the end for Merkel's fractious coalition. Results aren't allowed to be published before 9 p.m. GMT on Sunday, when the last of the polls close. But soon, the aftershocks of what is, on the face of things, an international election will be felt a lot closer to home.